Fantasy Football Team 5 Week Yearly Review.
Okay, so we have our second wide receiver 1 elimination matchup this week, and that's going to pit DJ Moore from the Chicago Bears against Christian Watson from the Green Bay Packers. Now, I'm a big fan of the NFC North. I get an opportunity to watch these guys pretty often. I do know that both of them had struggles throughout the season. Christian Watson was struggling against injury all year long, but he does pose a deep threat when he's on the field. And Jordan Love does seem, or at least I feel that Jordan Love does seem to find him at least one or two times downfield when he's playing healthy. And then DJ Moore, he had a very slow start with Caleb Williams coming in, rookie quarterback in a new system. But towards the end of the year, he really started to come on. I think he closed out the season very strong. So with that being said, let's jump into the stats. This is where I go in order to look up all the information, especially at the end of the season here. So we'll first look up Christian Watson. Now what I like about when we select the player right away, it's going to show us their final stats, or the ones that are very important to us, such as the FPTS and their position rank. So he ended up being 76th, and then also he only had 105.3 points throughout the course of the season. We can also see an average of 7 points a game. I know that he was injured on and off throughout the course of the season, but it does seem that those injuries were impacting his on-field performance, just as we look at this at a high over level. So now that we checked out Watson, we'll go ahead and bring up DJ Moore. In DJ, we can see that he ranked 16th at the position, so he's a top 20 candidate, which is perfect for our conversation on WR1, WR2, which we'll cover later in this year. And then he also had 238.1 points in the season, averaging 14. When we look at the outcome from the season, we can tell that Moore has a pretty significant advantage over Watson, just statistically. But we'll do a deeper dive into the stats. So whenever we're on this page, I always do the compare players. We'll compare Moore to Watson. Here's our breakdown right here. 16th versus 76. 238.1 against 105.3. And then doubling up on average, 14 in comparison to 7. So here's our weekly breakdown. We can kind of see the slow start here in those first 3 weeks. And then as we look at the back end of the season, or the second half of the season, it does appear that DJ Moore starts to really come on. We'll go ahead and move this data into Excel. And then we're going to look at Christian Watson here. And just from a very, just taking a peek at this, we can see he had a very rough start to the beginning of the season. There were the 2 big targets against Tennessee, and then it looks like he missed a few games against the Rams in Minnesota, and then, of course, the bye week. So looking at Christian Watson's stats, we can see he had a very bad start to the season those first 4 weeks, producing less than a total of 20 points. Yeah, I think we can all kind of see how this is going to unfold. So we'll move this information into Excel. In my Excel file, you can see on the left-hand side we have Watson and his stats in comparison to DJ Moore on the right-hand side. And I've already highlighted each of the categories in which Moore, in the sum totals in which Moore had beaten Watson. And then in our FPTS columns there, so columns L and Y, we'll see we just do some conditional formatting. Just kind of like pop out some of the more important or key indicators that I focus on. So anything that we see in green represents a 20 plus performance or a boom performance, and then anything that we see in red is going to be an under 10 performance, which I consider would be a bust performance at this point. Now, we already knew the average for Watson was going to be 7, so we can significantly see we already knew that the average for Watson was only 7. So there's a significant amount of red showing up in that column in comparison to Moore. The first couple weeks, actually, Moore seems to be near his average. And then he has a little bit of a slump between weeks 8 and 10 there. And then Moore played more, got more receptions. Yeah, that was just a pretty interesting stat line there. Oh, so I don't think this one's going to be very challenging. Okay, we're going to recap each of the stats for Christian Watson and DJ Moore, and then we'll provide our analysts and determine who is going to advance to the next round of our WR1 Elimination Bracket Challenge. Christian Watson had 29 receptions for 620 yards and 2 touchdowns on the year. He did see 53 targets, which put his efficiency at about 45%. My efficiency rating for this comparison is how often he's targeted, whether or not there's going to be a completion. And then on the other side, we had DJ Moore, who had 98 receptions on the year for 966 yards and 6 touchdowns. DJ Moore was targeted 140 times, and he had a 70% efficiency rating. DJ Moore also saw more carry attempts or rushing attempts with 14 and 75 yards, but he was unable to find the end zone. And so there's our stat review. Clearly, DJ Moore is our favorite to advance to the next round over Christian Watson, even win. So I tried to give Watson some grace. I looked at the career stats. You know, he has yet to even play more than 15 games in a single season. DJ Moore, you've seen his volume increase since joining the Chicago Bears. There's a very good chance with the emergence of Caleb Williams and then Benny Johnson headed over to Chicago that they're going to really utilize his talents. From a medical standpoint, DJ Moore is probably going to be on the field more often. And from a productivity standpoint, it is highly likely that he is going to have a more significant impact in the passing game. He may not have as many touchdowns and he won't have as many yards per reception, but I wouldn't be surprised if he exceeds 110 yards receiving this year and he doesn't get close to that 10 touchdown marker. So our winner is DJ Moore, and he advances to the next round of our wide receiver 1 elimination bracket. Okay, so the next matchup that we're going to be looking into, it's a very good one. It's going to place another rookie against a veteran who found themselves on a different team and was succeeding. That is Ladd McConkey from the San Diego Chargers going up against Jerry Jeudy from the Cleveland Browns. So I can't wait to dive into that one, and let's see what the outcome is.